Here.
Here. Here.
Ms. Wolrep.
Mr. Edwards, will you read the following?
The New Jersey Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Brick Township Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be posted on the Administration Office Bulletin Board, the official district website, and Channel BTV 20, and sent to the Asbury Park Press, the Brick Times, the Star Ledger, and Municipal Clerk's Office.
Can I have a motion and a second, please?
Motion. Second.
Mr. Edwards, can you please read the following?
Whereas the Brick Township Board of Education has been formed pursuant to the applicable New Jersey statutes, and whereas the board is charged with the responsibility of performing all acts and doing all things consistent with the law and the rules of the State Board of Education, necessary for the lawful and proper conduct, equipment, and maintenance of the public schools and public school property of the Brick Township School District, and whereas Section 7 of the Open Publics Meeting Act permits the exclusion of the public for a meeting of the board in certain circumstances, and whereas the board has determined that the circumstances exist for such an executive session, and whereas the board has found the action described below to be necessary and proper, now therefore be resolved by the board on May 31st, 2018, that the public shall be excluded from the discussion of and action on the executive session herein set forth. The session will be approximately 30 minutes, and the general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is harassment, intimidation, and bullying reports, litigation update, indemnification claims. It is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter will be made if and when it is deemed to be in the public interest to do so, and the need for confidentiality is no longer required by the board.
Mary?
Yes.
Creighton.
Yes.
Ms. Gagliardi.
Yes.
Ms. Pacala.
Yes.
Ms.
Okay, let's go.
Ready? Please stand for the flag. Salute. A moment of silence.
Yeah, it worked. Oh, you know what? You can use the podium, hon. Yeah, should be.
Good evening. My name is Emily Allison, and I'm the Secretary for Brick Memorial Student Government. Tonight, I would like to recognize the class of 2019 and their advisors for hosting our 2019 junior prom. Thank you to all of those who helped out and made it a memorable night. In addition, the Drama Club hosted their very own play called Thoroughly Modern Millie. This occurred on May 4th, 5th, and the 6th, and we'd also like to thank the National Honor Society for helping people set up, as well as host, as well as volunteering their time to help those in the Drama Club. On June 8th, the Town of Brick will be hosting Relay for Life, their annual Relay for Life, and there will be 16 clubs and sports teams at Brick Memorial who will be attending the Relay for Life. Also, recently we had our talent show. The junior class of 2019 hosted the talent show this year. It was a big success, and there were 18 acts, and there were something new this year, which in our school we have new dance classes. So all 3 dance classes attended the talent show, and they were amazing, so thank you to them. In addition, the Spanish, Italian, and French Honor Society were inducted on April 25th, and I would just like to congratulate them for all of their hard work and dedication that not only do they put into their school, but their honor society as well. There were a total for all 3 honor societies, 60 new members, and thank you also to the old members who attended and for their advisors. Upcoming, we have our senior ball on June 7th, which will be at Berkeley. And thank you to everybody who is putting all in their hard work in to put that together. In addition, for the week of June 11th through the 15th, we will be having our Spirit Week. Monday will be Wear Your College Shirt Day. Tuesday will be Twin Tuesday. Wednesday will be Meme Day, so you can dress up as your favorite meme. Thursday will be Red, White, and Blue. And of course, Friday will be Mustang Pride Day. Recently, on May 29th, we had our Senior Awards Night. Congratulations to all of those seniors of the class of 2018 who were awarded scholarships. Congratulations. In addition to this class of 2018, they will be having their graduation on June 20th. On behalf of myself and student government, we would like to wish all of the seniors best of luck in all of their travels and journeys throughout their lives. We know you'll be amazing. And thank you to the Board of Education for having us come every year, or every month, for letting us tell a little bit about the town, about what's going on in Brick Memorial. In addition, thank you for having an athletes breakfast, which will be hosted this month. For the purpose of this breakfast will be that all athletes from both Brick Memorial and Brick Township will be recognized. So thank you for having me on behalf of student government. And not only am I here on behalf of student government tonight, but I am also here on behalf of my AP chemistry class. This past Wednesday, on May 30th, we had our first ever science show for all the third graders in Brick Township. We hosted 2 shows throughout the school day, and this is our first ever daytime science night out show, hosted by myself, Mrs. DeBruin, and all of our AP chemistry classmates. And here is a quick message that we received from Lanes Mill. On behalf of the Lanes Mill third grade, we would like to thank you for inviting us to your Science Night Out show. The children were totally engaged and have not stopped talking about how much they enjoyed it. I am certain you have inspired quite a few 8-year-olds to pursue science. Thanks again for a great experience. As you can see, it was a great day, and we hope you can make it to the night show on June 6th. So the night show is something that the AP chemistry students have been working really hard all year long to put together. We are hard workers throughout everything that we do, so I'm sure this show will be amazing. It is free, which is another great reason to come. It will be at 6:30 in the Brick Memorial High School auditorium. Afterwards, after the show, it'll probably be about an hour. There will be hands-on activities featuring 15 fun science experiments. We hope you can come and show your support. I also handed out flyers to the Board of Education members, and if there are extra, you can obviously pick some up if you would like to. So thank you for having me, and we'll see you next year for more Brick Memorial updates. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Emily. You did a wonderful job. At this time, this is a very, very important night for us because tonight we celebrate the excellence of our staff here in Brick Township when we honor the support staff and the Teachers of the Year. So it is, again, a very special night. We have wonderful people in this district that work extremely hard to benefit our students, and this is just a small way of recognizing the excellence of those professional staff. So I would like to turn it over at this time to our Director of Curriculum and Instruction, Ms. McNamara, and our principals.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Philippone. I'd like to invite out some of the board members to help distribute the certificates and the awards for Teacher of the Year and Support Staff Member of the Year. Mrs. Pacala, Mrs. Gagliardi, and Mrs. Walrab, if you'd come up, please. Each year, the New Jersey Department of Education invites school districts to participate in the Governor's Educator of the Year Award. This celebratory program integrates the Teacher of the Year program and the Governor's Teacher Educational Services Professional Recognition Program, which recognizes our best teachers and educational service professionals. This evening, we will be celebrating the recipients of the Teacher of the Year and Educational Service Professional of the Year from each of the Brick Township Public Schools. We will also have an opportunity to celebrate and hear from the Brick Township District Teacher of the Year. John Quincy Adams said, "If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader." It is clear that all of the recipients this evening are leaders. Before we move on to awarding each recipient, I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank some of the people who've made this evening possible. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the District Teacher of the Year Committee, Mrs. McGlynn, Mrs. Gagliardi, Ms. Hudson, Mrs. Lemmig, and Mr. Morelli for assisting in selecting the District Teacher of the Year. I'd also like to thank the many hard-working folks at Central Office, Mary Ann Early, Maria Marusis, and Sandy Byers, and to an art teacher at Lake Riviera Middle School, Heather DeCondi, who every year makes each of the bags by hand for each of the recipients. At this time, I'd like to invite up each principal to speak about the recipients in their building and to introduce their educational service professional and their Teacher of the Year, and share with you why some of the truly inspirational attributes for each of these people. And to start the evening, Dr. Caldez.
First, I'd like to thank the Board of Education for continuing this tradition that has carried on for many years of recognizing our Teacher Year and Support Staff Member of the Year. First, I'd like to talk about our Support Staff Member of the Year at Brick Memorial High School. Kevin Mosley serves as the Brick Memorial High School Anti-Bullying Coordinator, and he is also the District Coordinator. Tonight, Mr. Mosley is being recognized for his dedication, effort, and commitment to working with parents, students, and staff at BMHS. Bullying, harassment, intimidation comes in many different forms. Mr. Mosley is an individual that is sensitive to all the student victims, but also educates the perpetrators to prevent reoccurring situations. Mr. Mosley worked to start the Society of Influencers and Game Changers at BMHS, a group that works to prevent bullying and makes students aware of the causes and effects of it. Mr. Mosley can be overwhelmed at times, but never slows down because he knows there's always a student out there that needs his help. He is a passionate man. He is a man that possesses great integrity and fairness to our students. Mr. Mosley, would you come up, please? You gotta stay. You gotta stay. You gotta stay. You gotta stay. I know you don't want to. You hate pictures, but you gotta stay. All right. Next is our Teacher of the Year, William Steinmetz. Exemplifies the elements of a great educator, but also, more importantly, he personifies character, which provides the umbrella under which he operates as a teacher, friend, husband, and father. Will teaches biology and honors marine biology. He makes connections with the students by taking interest in what interests them and provides a classroom environment that students feel comfortable and confident to put forward their best effort. Will makes students feel proud of their accomplishment. Will volunteers for lunch duty. Nobody volunteers for lunch duty. Let me just tell you that. Not just one semester, but for both semesters. Will loves to connect with his former students and students that could possibly be recruited to be his students in the future. He loves being with kids. He's a man that can talk to kids. He is a man that the kids trust and know that they have their best interest at stake. Will wrote in his application, "I hope that my strength of character is what defines me as a teacher leader as I try to live my everyday with integrity, honesty, and a genuine caring and respect for others." It can be stated by everybody in Brick Memorial High School. Anybody who has ever come into contact with Will Steinmetz, he is a kind, gentle, and believe me, it is killing him to be here tonight because he is he wants no credit. Will, come on up. Next, I'd like to introduce Mr. Philippone, who's pinch hitting for Mr. Kleisler tonight, who's at the Brick High School Senior Ball tonight.
Well, I am. I'm kind of stepping in at the last second. Mr. Kleisler and his administrative team are at the senior ball. That has become the trend. To save money and to get the venues, you have to go on Thursdays. So, but I feel quite confident in speaking about the support staff member of the month and the teacher of the year from Brick Township High School, because in my infinite wisdom, I hired them both at one point. So I'll start with our teacher, our support staff member of the year, Miss Lauren Ianello from our guidance department. Lauren is a graduate of Brick Township High School, a person who has tremendous passion for children, who has worked tirelessly to take a department that we don't have a director of guidance, Gerard, okay, but with everybody, write that down, with everybody working hard, and Lauren leading that charge along with the other guidance counselors at both high schools, they have created a situation for our students that is as good or better than any school in Ocean or Monmouth County, in my opinion. And Lauren leads that charge. She is passionate about her students. She does a tremendous job in getting them ready for college and all those application processes, and is just a remarkable, remarkable person that makes everybody around her better and makes our school a better place. So with great pride that I asked Lauren to come up. And the teacher of the year from Brick Township High School, Miss Monica Carden-Bucinich, who endeavored to try to help me to speak several languages, Italian being one of them, and was relatively successful. But again, one of the things that we look for, or I looked for as a building principal, when I went into classrooms was student engagement. The effect that a teacher has on the student's love for that subject. And when you walk into Ms. Bucinich's class, it is quite obvious to even the casual observer that her students are engaged, that her students are, again, and I use the word passionate about the subject, and it's because of her passion and her love for teaching that those things happen. She was instrumental in developing a National Honor Society for the World Languages here at Brick Township High School. She is a tireless worker who was here early in the morning, unless things have changed, and late in the afternoon, and will do anything that she's asked to do for her students. So again, with great pleasure and honor, I ask the Teacher of the Year from Brick Township High School, Ms. Bucinich, to come on up.
At this time, if Mrs. Katsianis would please come to the podium.
Good evening. Veterans Memorial Middle School is thrilled to celebrate Michelle Pellegrino as our support staff member of the year. Michelle is our media specialist librarian and is being recognized for this honor as a result of her desire to not only instill a love of reading for pleasure in middle school students, but also teach them how to use digital resources appropriately to conduct research. Michelle herself is an avid reader and an expert in young adolescent literature. She keeps apprised of the latest novels and series that appeal to middle school students. It's certainly not an easy task to motivate middle school students to want to read. But Michelle has been extremely successful in achieving her goal, as our book circulation has tripled since she became our media specialist. The book collection is vigorously maintained by Michelle for currency and represents the best available titles for this age group. Ms. Pellegrino introduces her students to a wide variety of text. She inspires students to use their imaginations to discover new worlds through books, because she truly believes that once they dismiss their preconceived ideas that they may have about what they consider enjoyable books, they are likely to embrace a diversity in what they read. While some students have the desire to read on their own terms, Mrs. Pellegrino is frequently observed engaged in book talks with reluctant readers designed to inspire them to check out a new book. She can and does discuss any book, any author, with any student. If the library doesn't have the next book in a series, Michelle makes sure she gets it. Students often stop by to talk about books and share their excitement for what they're reading. When, on the rare occasion, a student recommends a book that she hasn't read, she makes sure she reads it so she can discuss with them at their next visit. Mrs. Pellegrino has a passion for reading that's contagious, and we are so fortunate that so many of our Veterans Memorial Middle School students have embraced this reading epidemic. As one of our students told me, she's just amazing because she's always happy, she makes me want to read, and she gives 110% every day. Congratulations, Michelle, and thank you for helping our students truly understand that reading is fundamental. Michelle? We're also thrilled to recognize Mrs. Barbara Favato as our Teacher of the Year. Barbara is one of our 7th grade special education teachers, and she's being recognized this evening for this honor as a result of her deep and sincere commitment to her students and her compassionate and caring nature. Barbara is extremely patient as she expertly and gently encourages her students to do their best. She has embraced a growth mindset philosophy, and she instills that belief in her students, constantly encouraging them to put forth their best effort. She goes that extra mile to find ways to motivate and inspire her students so that they are confident in their ability. Mrs. Favato brings out the best in her students by challenging them to keep trying and to never give up, even when the challenges may seem too difficult. She teaches our students that learning from mistakes is essential as they engage in the productive struggle designed to teach them how to persevere until they are successful. Mrs. Favato places value on effort and constantly praises her students. You know, middle school is a time to grow, explore, and ignite that fire of learning that happens, that hopefully will last a lifetime. Sometimes the best teaching occurs outside the classroom, in our hallways, in our lunchroom, or in an after-school activity. Barbara realizes the impact that she has on students' lives and seizes every opportunity to make it a teachable moment. She advocates for her students, and she shows them that she truly cares about them and believes in their ability. She guides through example and inspires with passion. Barbara has taught at Vets Middle School for 30 years, hard to believe looking at her, and her dedication to the profession, her students, and her colleagues is truly awe-inspiring. The world is a better place because of the countless lives she has touched during her teaching career. Her teaching team calls her Saint Barbara because she's so selfless, loving, thoughtful, and dedicated. One of her students told me she's level-headed because she just really deals with problems head-on. Another student told me she helps me with everything because somehow she just always knows what I need. Barbara's well-respected, adored, and loved by the students, faculty, and staff of Veterans Memorial Middle School. She is so well deserving of this award, as she is a model educator who genuinely cares about everyone that has the pleasure to know her. Congratulations, Barbara. And I'd like to introduce Mrs. Colleen Kerr, principal of Drum Point Elementary School.
Good I would like to thank the board for the opportunity to recognize these fabulous staff members that inspire our children every day. Drum Point Road Elementary School is thrilled to celebrate Mrs. Malka Kuznicki as our Educational Services Professional of the Year. Malka is a speech-language therapist and is being recognized for this honor as a result of her dedication and expertise in her field. She serves as an important resource in our school. Even when she's not giving her therapy, she's working with teachers and other staff members to make sure that all of her lessons are applied in the regular classroom as well. Mrs. Kuznicki provides a safe, structured, and consistent learning environment for all of her students. She is reflective and collaborative, developing positive working partnerships with all of our staff members and parents to meet the needs of her students. Congratulations, Mrs. Malka Kuznicki. And Drum Point Road Elementary School is thrilled to celebrate Mrs. Wendy Acropolis as our Teacher of the Year. Mrs. Acropolis teaches 5th grade and is being recognized for this honor as a result of her undeniable commitment to going above and beyond meeting the needs of her students, and she does this with such kindness and compassion. Implementing responsive classroom strategies, Mrs. Acropolis creates a positive learning environment, supporting the academic, social, and emotional growth of each and every child. Mrs. Acropolis is a dedicated teacher who is there even longer than me. I see her there every night late at school, and she supports the entire Drum Point community beyond her classroom. She serves on almost every school committee and participates in all of our school-wide initiatives and events. Congratulations, Mrs. Wendy Acropolis. And now I have the great pleasure of introducing Mr. David Cajun, principal of Emma Havens Young Elementary School.
Thank you, Colleen. This always gets awkward for me, I know. I'm just going to lean over while I speak, so bear with me here. I am honored to recognize and celebrate Miss Leanne Ehalt as our Educational Service Professional of the Year. Leanne works as a basic skills instructor and interventionist, supporting struggling students in the areas of math and literacy. Ms. Ehalt is a compassionate educator who approaches every day with a problem-solving attitude. Ms. Ehalt is highly professional, engaging and constantly promoting teacher collaboration. Most importantly, Ms. Ehalt is an advocate for students' best interests. Please welcome this opportunity to congratulate Ms. Leanne Ehalt for her accomplishments this school year. Again, I am honored, and so is Emma Havens, to recognize and celebrate now Ms. Devin Ramirez as our Teacher of the Year for Emma Havens Young Elementary School. Ms. Ramirez is a 4th grade teacher at Emma Havens Young. Ms. Ramirez is constantly maintaining a high expectation for all students, while fostering academic and social growth of each and every learner. Through an understanding of students' interests and backgrounds, Ms. Ramirez is able to keep students actively engaged in the instructional process. Ms. Ramirez is a true professional. Students and colleagues alike look to her often for opportunities of collaboration as they respect and value her input. Well done, Ms. Ramirez. Congratulations to Ms. Devin Ramirez for recognition of her accomplishments this school year.
Congratulations.
I'm trying to get off stage. Some of us do some long hours, right? Yes, I know. All right, so I'd like to introduce the next school, which is Herbertsville Elementary School. Mr. Walter Sanko, please come up and introduce your educational service professional and teacher of the year. Welcome. Yep.
Good evening. Once again, we'd like to thank the Board of Education for recognizing our teachers and support professionals. All of our teachers do a phenomenal job. Herbertsville Elementary School is thrilled to celebrate one of our stars, Mrs. Mary McKelvey. As everybody's used to me by now, as our support staff member of the year. Right? Ms. McKelvey is a teacher aide in 4th grade, and she's a one-on-one paraprofessional. And she's being recognized for this honor because of her consistent dedication to the students, staff, and entire school community, not only the students she works with. She always goes above and beyond her responsibilities to ensure a caring, warm, safe environment for her students, not only in grade 4, but throughout the school. She dedicates her time to making sure all students are successful, both academically and socially. And as many of you know, for some of our special education students, the social aspect is just as important, if not more so, than the academic part. And Mary does a tremendous job with that. She is a team player who is always willing to work with colleagues to put students first. Her creativity and ideas enhance the positive climate of our school. And I'd like to call up Mrs. Mary McKelvey. Now, it's my honor once again to celebrate one of our stars, our teacher of the year, Ms. Erin Shagru. Ms. Shagru teaches one of our 5th grade STEM classes. And it is amazing at Herbertsville, we have 2 sections of every grade level. And the 5th grade, both Mrs. Bayless and Ms. Shagru, collaborate unbelievably in terms of creating a STEM environment for those 5th grade students. Those students are extremely lucky. Ms. Shagru is being recognized for the different things that she does at the school besides what she does in the classroom. They organize a STEM Family Engineering Night. She's a leader of the Green Team. They participate in the Green Fair annually. She's our building SysOp, and I've gone to her several times the problems I've had in terms of technology. She does a professional development presenter on UDL, STEM, Next Generation Science Standards, and Google Classroom at both the school and district level. She was on the Elementary Science Committee, which worked on the units which we are being presented this year in science as we implement the Next Generation Science Standards, and she also is involved with our school garden. She inspires her students to become 21st century thinkers and problem solvers. She understands the need for students to work in a variety of ways. There is always something going on in her room. Students look forward to going to her class. Always willing to lend a hand, she's collaborative, kind, and generous. Her students tell me she is an awesome teacher and they told me this morning that they want her to follow them to Vets Middle. I told them, no way. So I'd like to welcome up Ms. Erin Shagru. I'd like to introduce my colleague, Mr. Lookenback from Lanes Mill Elementary School.
Thank you, Mr. Rosenko. It is my honor to introduce our Teacher of the Year and our Support Staff Member of the Year for Lanes Mill. We'd like to thank the Board of Education for this recognition as well. Lanes Mill is thrilled to celebrate Mrs. Michelle Malakowicz as our Support Staff Member of the Year. Michelle is currently a paraprofessional serving in our LLD class. Ms. Malakowicz has also served many other assignments at Lanes Mill throughout the years, and it doesn't matter what the assignment is. Her heart and soul goes into every job. Ms. Malakowicz also gives her time to help out her colleagues in the event that they may be missing a lunch or they need a little help with a child. She's always there for them. But most importantly, it is the children who seek her out, whether it's to share a story, to share an accomplishment, or perhaps give it a little bit of support for her. And that's what the children are thrilled about. Ms. Malakowicz always gives her time for our Lanes Mill community. We tap into her professional experience as a photographer. No, we are shameless, we don't care. And we make sure that she records all of our events, and she does a wonderful, wonderful job of making sure that all of our events and memories are well designed for us. So we'd like to congratulate her and welcome Ms. Malakowicz, Support Staff Member of the Year, Lanes Mill. Lanes Mill Elementary School would like to celebrate Marnie Montemerno as our Teacher of the Year. Mrs. Montemerno is currently a first grade teacher, and we'd like to celebrate her for many accomplishments throughout the years. Mrs. Montemerno is often said to load me up and leave me alone. Give me all the children that you want and let me do my job. And I do the best I can just to get out of her way. Mrs. Montemerno has serviced all the kids, no matter what the abilities are, our in-class support students, our gifted students. It doesn't matter. She's there with open arms for them. She's also participated in many district-wide and school-wide communities. It was her efforts that put in many, many long-standing programs at Lanes Mill School, such as our Cold Classic, our museum nights, and many other special events that have served the test of time in our schools. And everybody appreciates the efforts that she has put into these quietly and behind the scenes. She made sure I said that. But what really epitomizes Mrs. Montemerno as an educator is something very simple. Mrs. Montemerno wears a very simple necklace with two children on it. One to represent the children she has, and one to represent the children she teaches. And both are very close to her heart. That says it all. It's all there for her, and we appreciate every effort that she has done. Please congratulate Mrs. Montemerno, Teacher of the Year. At this time, I'd like to introduce the principal of Midstreams Elementary School, Dr. John Billen.
Good evening, everyone. Again, thank you to the Board of Education for helping us recognizing these great professionals in our schools. And it gives me great pleasure, and I'm thrilled to celebrate and introduce our Midstreams Elementary School Educational Services Professional of the Year, Mrs. Joanne Pleva. Ms. Pleva always gives 100% to our special education students. She can constantly be seen working with individuals, groups, or any student in the building. No is not in her vocabulary. Anything that she is asked to do, she's always willing to help out and give her very best to our students. She's always hands-on and active in the classroom. She never misses a beat or a day of work for that matter. I think she's used just one personal day over my 7 years at Midstreams Elementary School. These are just a few of the many, many reasons I am proud to announce our 2017-18 Educational Services Professional of the Year, Mrs. Joanne Pleva. It also gives me great pleasure to introduce and celebrate our Midstreams Teacher of the Year, Miss Lauren Tallarita. Miss Tallarita is a consummate professional. Her classroom consists of high-level learning as well as creativity and technology infusion. Her commitment and dedication to her students is outstanding and second to none. She not only excels in the classroom, but she is also the Early Act co-advisor and is constantly participating in school functions and activities, as well as chairing our Holiday Hunger Drive, which Midstreams finished first place in Monmouth and Ocean County. Please join me in congratulating the 2017-18 Midstreams Elementary School Teacher of the Year, Miss Lauren Tallarita. I'd now like to introduce Mrs. Kathy DeGregoli, our principal at Osborneville Elementary School. Kathy.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you again for allowing us this opportunity to recognize those who make a difference in our children's lives every day. The Osborneville School is thrilled to celebrate Mrs. Karen Castellani, our support staff member of the year. Mrs. Castellani is a child study team case manager and is being recognized for this honor as a result of, as her peers stated, her dedication to the children with whom she works. She genuinely cares about each and every child and their family. She supports all members of the school community with resources and strategies for our struggling students. She is well respected due to her knowledge, kindness, and rapport with the families of our students. Thank you, Mrs. Castellani, for your dedication and support to all of us at Osborneville School. Osborneville School is thrilled to celebrate Miss Jackie Padlow as our Teacher of the Year. Miss Padlow is a 5th grade teacher of special education students and is being recognized for this honor as a result of her calm, supportive, and reassuring demeanor. When one enters Jackie's room, there is a sense of zen. If you ever want to feel calmness, walk into Jackie's room. We actually call her room the Zen Room, and I'm in there many times. Her dedication to her students and her unwavering commitment to provide each and every student with the ability to succeed. As her students told me, she teaches us things we didn't know. When we are sad, she makes us happy. She's spectacular, kind, and really, 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 really awesome. Thank you, Ms. Padlow, for your dedication and to support to all of us at Osborneville School. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Jonathan Barisi, the principal of Veterans Memorial Elementary School.
Good evening. Veterans Memorial Elementary School is thrilled to celebrate Shari Fontana as our support staff member of the year. Ms. Fontana is a paraprofessional and is being recognized for this honor as she exemplifies what it means to be a Mustang. She is kind, she is compassionate, and she is an integral part of the VMES community. Entering her classroom and watching her read a story to the children or lead a small group instruction in support of her cooperating teacher is nothing short of amazing. Her kindness radiates, and I know that I am personally awed by it. Congratulations, Ms. Fontana. Veterans Memorial Elementary School is also thrilled to celebrate Miss Marcia Goforth as our Teacher of the Year. Miss Goforth is a basic skills instructor and is being recognized for this honor as a result of her unbound dedication to her students, the staff, and the entire VMES school community. As a basic skills instructor, Miss Goforth services our most critical population and works tirelessly to plan engaging lessons that help her students realize success. Additionally, Ms. Goforth is an absolute asset to me as a brand new administrator at Vets Elementary School because she is completely honest and actively engages me in deep conversations focused on student improvement and achievement while always serving as an advocate for her students. Congratulations, Ms. Goforth. I would like to introduce Ms. Terry Goodfellow, the principal of Warren H. Wolf Elementary School.
Thank you, Mr. Barisi. The Warren H. Wolf Elementary School is thrilled to celebrate Ms. Agatha Andrews as our support staff member of the year. Ms. Aggie is a paraprofessional in Ms. Tishio's preschool classroom. She has dedicated 18 years to the Brick Township School District where she supports and facilitates our youngest learners. I asked Ms. Aggie's class why she is so wonderful. The responses were simple but powerful. They said, Ms. Aggie loves to make projects with lots of glitter. And most importantly, she loves all of us. Ms. Aggie, please come up to celebrate this honor. The Warren H. Wolf Elementary School is excited to celebrate Mrs. Ellen Day as our Teacher of the Year. Mrs. Day has dedicated 25 years to the Brick Township School District where she has primarily taught kindergarten. Throughout those years, she has served on many district school-based communities. Mrs. Day helps to facilitate learning in her classroom by simply loving her children. She creates an optimum learning environment for them. I also asked Ms. Day's class today why you think that Mrs. Day should be the Teacher of the Year. And once again, the responses were simple, but also powerful. She likes to play silly songs. She loves Mickey Mouse. And most importantly, she makes learning fun. Mrs. Day, please come up to accept this honor. At this time, I'd like to call up Dr. Elise Anderson from Lake Riviera Middle School.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. I would like to thank the Board of Education for this opportunity. I'm just extremely excited that our new superintendent is here to witness all these wonderful stories and celebrate the accomplishments of our teachers in our schools. They represent our schools and our community. And as a graduate of Brick Township Public Schools, I have never been more proud of my school district. Lake Riviera Middle School is thrilled to celebrate Laura Kerwin as our support staff member of the year. Laura is not only our media specialist, but a passionate advocate for student literacy. She's transformed our Learning Resource Center by creating an environment in which students develop a lifelong love of reading. Book circulation has skyrocketed with a 66% increase. Students are inspired to read because of her innovative marketing strategies designed to market toward our adolescent learners, with activities like book tastings and holiday-themed book speed dating and a pop-up library in the cafe. Mrs. Kerwin inspires a culture of literacy by sponsoring door decorating contests for Read Across America Day, and during March Madness, students voted electronically for each round of the book tournament, in which ultimately Wonder earned the title 2018 Book of the Year. Mrs. Kerwin has supported her colleagues by providing curricular resources, by teaching information literacy, and helping improve students' abilities to read and comprehend text. By coordinating school-wide Achieve 3000 contests, Ms. Kerwin has motivated students to increase their Lexile levels. Students have received individual and class incentives like breakfast with the principal, pretzel parties, ice cream parties, gift cards, and prizes. Always a willing resource for her colleagues who admire her not only for her acumen, but for her generosity and her unassuming way in which she shares with others. She's committed to fostering a homeschool connection. She's keenly attuned to our community. During our annual book fair, students who could not afford to purchase a book always find themselves leaving her library with a book or two in their possession. She also donated costumes for students who wanted to participate in the school play, and she celebrates our school success with a bi-weekly publication entitled The Laker Ledger. Mrs. Kerwin has served on the Mayor's Advisory Council and has been secretary of the LRMS PTA for the past 2 years, so that all of the students at Lake Riviera are serviced. As you can see, Laura is an extraordinary individual who has enhanced LRMS through her love of literacy, her innovative initiatives, and her commitment to our community. For these reasons, and too many to mention, it's my honor to present Laura Kerwin as our Lake Riviera Middle School Support Staff Member of the Year. And so, I am thrilled to be able to celebrate Pam Cooper. Pam Cooper is both the Teacher of the Year for Lake Riviera Middle School and our District Teacher of the Year. Pam teaches consumer science and is being recognized for this honor for many, many reasons. This summer, Pam was chosen as one of only 30 teachers nationwide to attend the FDA's Food Science Institute program. Pam then applied what she learned to revamp her curriculum. She integrated both the family and consumer science standards and the New Jersey standards for the 21st century life and careers into each unit. She also assimilated the skills aligned to the next generation science standards, as well as concepts from the New Jersey standards for health and physical education. Pam's lessons are grounded in the real world and combine both the science of cooking and the biology of baking. Students are required to use their critical thinking to create their own recipes and participate in performance-based tasks, lab experiments, and interdisciplinary projects. Her classes are always in demand, as students love demonstrating what they've learned through creative culminating activities like Kitchen CSI, Iron Chef, No lie, they really do this. And we have rubrics, and we have judges, and they evaluate all of the students and what they've created in restaurant wars and food truck wars. They've even designed food trucks. As a teacher leader, Pam has provided professional development on a variety of topics. She's helped teachers both in the district and outside the district to integrate the national family and consumer science standards into their own lessons. Additionally, she's helped her colleagues integrate career-ready practice standards into designing their performance-based tasks so that they can work meaningfully in cooperative group structures. She's also assisted her colleagues in designing standards-based lessons using the new Marzano-focused evaluation tool. Pam is an active member of our school community. She serves on the Character Education Committee. She's helped to design activities for the Week of Respect and Character Education Day. As a member of the school's Green Team, she's applied for grants to bring energy-efficient appliances to her kitchen. Recently, she's begun making plans for an exciting school project. Her vision is to create an organic community garden built and maintained by students with the help of our school's environmental club. And it will not only provide our students with an authentic farm-to-table experience, but will ultimately provide students with an opportunity to teach the community at large how to grow produce with little impact on the local environment. Pam's greatest contribution to the community, however, is as a volunteer advisor for the district's anti-drug youth prevention coalition, Lead and Seed. She works in partnership with DARE officers from the Brick Police Department to educate students about the dangers of substance abuse. Pam also supports the community by inviting guests from local restaurants into her classroom to share their experience with the students. And finally, Pam helps to support our community's fight against cancer by serving as the LRMS team captain for Relay for Life. Perhaps Pam's greatest contribution doesn't come from what she does, but who she is. She has the ability to educate, inspire, and empower students to live a healthy life. Through her enthusiasm, her energy, her optimism, she is able to articulate a vision of wellness that safeguards our children during the most vulnerable time in their adolescent development. In the words of her students, Christian said, "When I think of Mrs. Cooper, I think about how she likes doing things for others and how she is so caring." Shane said, to thank her for teaching everyone in our school community about the dangers of drugs. Anna said she admires Miss Cooper for always being positive. Her ideas benefit the whole school because she cares a lot. And lastly, Pam Serrano said, Mrs. Cooper goes above and beyond everyone's expectations because she's not only an amazing cooking teacher, she took the liberty to start Lead and Seed. That has helped so many people. For her amazing contributions to Lake Riviera Middle School, and for the influence that she has had that transcends our school into our community and changes lives, I would like to thank and deeply honor Ms. Pam Cooper as the Lake Riviera Middle School and Brick Township Public School District Teacher of the Year.
Just give me 1 second. Okay. I would like to start off by saying thank you to the Brick Township Board of Education, Acting Superintendent Mr. Philippone, Ms. McNamara, and Dr. Anderson, both of which have supported me through this whole process. I have to say, I feel both humbled and still honestly in shock to be accepting this award, and I'm proud that I have the privilege to join such a remarkable and distinguished group of educators who represent the best of Brick Township. As you can see, all over there. We as educators pour our hearts and souls into our jobs. I know that there are so many outstanding, passionate, creative educators in our school district that challenge, inspire, and support our students daily. And I am one of those who is proud to stand among them. I can say personally that I would not be up here without so many amazing people in my life. So while thinking about what to say to you guys tonight, I thought back to all the people who have helped me. Chances are you're probably sitting next to somebody in the audience who you have found helpful and supportive right now. They're probably the people who help you get through the day. You guys right here and over there. Your colleagues, your friends, your students, and your family. I am personally fortunate to have grown up in a family that values education and the concept of lifelong learning. I would like to thank both my parents who are here tonight. I would also like to thank Jim, who's over there as well, for helping me through this amazing journey, as well as my LRMS family, who is also over there and over here. Without them, honestly, their dedication to the students at Lake Riviera Middle School is absolutely amazing. I would also like to thank the students who Dr. Anderson spoke about just a minute ago. They are honestly the real reason I'm up here. The real reason all of us get up every day excited to come to work, to help them realize their dreams, right? That's what it's all about. We teach for them. I know I definitely do. I truly believe that we do not even know how important we are to our students. In closing, I'm going to have a little cooking quote here. In closing, make sure you try new recipes, you learn from your mistakes, you be fearless, and above all else, have fun. Thank you guys for coming tonight, and thank you guys for all your words of support, and congratulations. Congratulations to everyone.
Can we have one more round of applause for these amazing educators? If I could invite the Teachers of the Year and Educational Support Specialists of the Year to come towards the front of the dais so we can get a picture of the entire group. I just need everyone to walk down this way. Ask you to get as tight together as possible.
Okay.
We're one happy
Mr.
family.
Philippone. Ms. Clayton looked over the policies as they do every month. Again, just to reiterate the process, what we, I get Mrs.
Thank you, Walter.
Yeah, thank you, Walter. What we do is Mr. Gianella actually has been helping us with policy. He comes in and he works with me on the initial look at the policies. We then get them out to the board members on the committee. They approve the policies with many, many corrections, both grammatical as well as functional. And we had a lot of discussion this week about the fact that all of our policies are, their basis comes from 18A, the regulations that govern public schools, and that we have to, once we get all of the policies in place, we then have to look at those policies and set guidelines, both administrative guidelines for the superintendent and the directors and the board, so that we are in compliance with those policies as we move forward. So it's kind of a double process, and we have we're hoping that by the end of the June meeting, so that by July 1st, we'll have all of our policies in place, and we can really begin that process of refining them and putting those checklists together so that we're in 100% compliance, not only with 18A, but with our policy manual. So there's a lot of work still to be done, but I want to thank the two board members on the committee who do really do yeoman's work and a remarkable job and take a great deal of their time in doing it and do a great job with it. So thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. McNamara.
Thank you, Mrs. Walrab. The Curriculum and Instruction Committee met on May 8th. In attendance were Mrs. Gagliardi, Mrs. Pacala, Mrs. Clayton, Mrs. Cloud, Mrs. Beatty, Mrs. Goodfellow, and myself. We looked over many of the elementary initiatives that have been taking place throughout the school year. We did some pilots in professional development that were discussed, a pilot concerning reflex math in grades 2 through 5, which we're hoping to implement reflex math in the 2018-19 school year. We looked at science and math gizmos. It was a very positive experience for our secondary division. However, our elementary felt as though this may not be the perfect fit for them at this time. However, they're continuing to look at those materials. A final recommendation will be made in June. We continued with the Zumbini pilot, and one of the teachers, actually one of the academic coaches who's heading up that pilot, will be reporting out at our June meeting. We had Graham Fletcher come and do a professional development for our intervention specialists and our elementary, some of our other elementary math teachers in 3-act math tasks, and that was very well received. The coaches have developed lessons and linked those into the curriculum and into our pacing guides based upon the 3-act math tasks. We have a reading strategies and writing strategies presenter coming in June. Barrett Gordon will be presenting to the elementary division on June 4th and to the secondary division on June 5th. On June 6th and 7th, we will be doing PD for the foundations, and we'll be setting up foundation fun days over the summer for staff to come in, and also doing a principal and administrator orientation for foundations over the summer. Finally, we are beginning our process to bring in Writers Workshop through the Teachers College of Columbia on August 6th, and they'll be attending an overview conference at that time. The last part that we looked at is our preschool curriculum. We're still looking at Big Day and Develop, Inspire, Grow, known as DIG. We will be looking at that through the end of the school year in June and making recommendations for the upcoming school year in September once that pilot has been completed. Thank you.
Thank you. Human Resources, Mr. Granson.
Thank you, Ms. Walrab. The HR committee met on May 22nd at 3:30 p.m. The attendees was Ms. Hafner, Ms. Walrab, myself, and Mr. Philippone. The first thing on the agenda was to review the agenda up to this point. Again, this was 9 days before the board meeting. At that point in time, there was 25 motions that we discussed in length. The first one being standard retirements. Then we went through the standard resignations and explained that all the jobs are already posted. We had a ratify resignation. We also discussed that job was filled down in motion number 6. Number 4 was to approve employment. Ms. Sakis is replacing a psychologist that resigned on May 14th of this year. Ratify changes of employment at that point in time was to switch a grounds employee with a custodial worker. The grounds employee requested to move to custodial department. So Mr. Colobus asked me to post the job. We posted it and he went through the interview process. Custodial worker is being moved into the ground, so they're going to be swapping places. Number 6 was to approve the changes of employment. Ms. Seals was replaced as resignation noted in number 3, and then Ms. Helwig replaced Ms. Seals. So we kind of explained that with food service, just so everybody understands. With food service, if a 5-hour food service worker resigns, we can't just replace that with a sub. They have to go through and have somebody that's lower that, like a 3.5-hour food service worker, for instance, move up into the 5-hour spot. So that's what happened, and then the sub moved into her spot. So usually when that happens, there's 2 moves for one. C, Van Hart replaced Valerie Bay Jones from motion 7, which we're going to get to, and Ms. Puglia Copy replaces Mr. Van Hart. Same thing with transportation. When somebody leaves, or in this case, we had a driver pass away a couple months ago, they have to go through a process to move into the 8-hour bids and then to the 6-hour bids and so on. Number 7 was to ratify the transfers of employment. Ms. Faye Jones won the bid for the deceased driver we just discussed. Ms. DeLeo swapped places with Ms. Dipple for, that was, I believe, numbers 2 and 3 in the food service department. And then the other transfers of employment, we had a psychologist from Brick Memorial move into Lake Riv, because the Lake Riv guy was resigning, and therefore the hire, number 4, was moving into that spot. I know that was a mouthful, sorry. Number 8, approved substitutes for the remaining part of this school year. Number 9 was removal of substitutes. We discussed that process as well again. Just went in depth that we reached out to every single substitute to see if they wanted to be part of the 18-19 school year. We reached out to like Mr. Colbus, for instance, and when he went through the custodial staff, we reached out to Ms. Richardson. She went through the food service staff, etc. The people that were not going to be recommended for the next year, we needed reasons, and those people are on the agenda tonight. Number 10 is approved substitutes for the 18-19 school year. Number 11 was to approve the BTAN SAS salaries, also called the unit. Number 12 was to approve the TW. At that point in time, the clerical were up there and facilities base salaries were up there. Number 13 was to approve tenured administrators. Number 14 was to approve non-tenured administrators per contract. Number 15 was to approve leave of absence. 16 was to ratify leave of absence. 17 was to rescind leave of absence. 18 we went over how we discussed approving the base camp coordinator. He was doing the job of kind of functioning in that capacity. He needed to be approved in this meeting so he could do the job to get all the people on the June agenda. Number 19 was to approve a change in retirement date. Number 20 was to ratify the spring painting crew that money was budgeted for. Number 21 was to approve the spring painting crew that any money left in the budget that they could work on certain jobs from June 1st to June 30th. And then 22 is to approve a summer painting crew for all the paint jobs that Mr. Colbus sees need for this summer. 23 was to approve guidance summer hours for 17-18. That's whatever money was left over in the budget. They're going to work in the couple days left in June after the school year. And then 24 was to approve guidance summer hours for 18-19. This is a big discussion, and it was asked to be removed to the June meeting, so that has been replaced and removed. Number 25, which is now number 24, was approve a correction in salary. Second thing we did in the meeting, we looked ahead to the June agenda just so everybody knew what was happening next month. Things to look out for in the June agenda is we said TW food service, but they are now on the May agenda. They were done. The TW stipends will be up there. The BTA transfers, any teacher transfers, any administrative transfers, and then change of employments due to pick process. The custodial department has picks where they get to pick their location for next year, so we go through all that. So does the food service department. Fall coaches, we discussed might be on the next agenda if they're not in this agenda. About 80% of the fall coaches are on this agenda. Number 7 was also to go through the summer employment, so we'll see base camp and jumpstart. Number 3 was a staffing update. We went over the retirements, some of the postings we had, and the new hires. We didn't hire anybody new at that point. We do have somebody on the agenda for tonight that's going to be for 18-19 school year. And then number 4 was the facilities movements. We just discussed the custodian moves that could happen for the 18-19 school year. The next meeting is to be determined because the board meeting switched dates, so we're going to discuss that. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Facilities?
Facilities Committee met on May 21st, and present were Board President Roab, Board Member Foster, Superintendent of Schools Philippone, Business Administrator Mr. Edwards, NEDA, Mr. George Satora from NEDA, Roger Riddell, myself. We discussed a magnitude of ongoing projects such as the Vets parking lot improvement, both phases 1 and 2. We received a letter from CHA with regards to some work that is still outstanding from phase 1. We also talked about the meter pit bids that came in a little bit over budget, so it was recommended to put into phase 2. And phase 2 bid packages are out, and the bid will be opened on June 12th. We also discussed the ongoing Brick High School track improvements. Mr. Edwards went over with the committee the settlement details and informed the committee that the work will start the day after graduation. We talked about Warren Wolf Roof. It was a project that we did last year. Mr. Satora updated the committee that the project is completed and has been closed out. We discussed the ongoing PPA solar panel project, and I reported that all systems are back up and running. We talked about a magnitude of 2017-2018 budget items that are still ongoing. We also reviewed the 2018-2019 capital projects, and we discussed the projects. Mr. Totoro from NEDA provided the committee with updated drawings for the referendum for signature. And we also discussed the ongoing unit here, air conditioned unit, rooftop unit at Brick High School, and we set up a meeting with the train representative to work that out. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Edwards, Finance?
Save the best for last.
Oh, always the best for last.
Finance Committee met on May 21st, 2018. Present were Ms. Walrab, Ms. Foster, Mr. Philippone, and myself. First thing that was reported was that the Department of Education has approved the District Special Education Medicaid Initiative Plan for the 18-19 school year. Just as a refresher to everyone, that plan was necessitated by the not meeting the revenue benchmarks in the 2016-17 year. I'm happy to report that as of today, we've received our report for the 2017-2018 year, and we are above our revenue benchmarks in the current year. So even though they've approved our corrective action plan for the 18-19 school year, we've already met our benchmarks for the current year. We then discussed the 2018-19 budget. And you'll see on this evening's agenda there is a request to pass a resolution in regards to the School Funding Reform Act. Ms. Walrab, myself, Mr. Philippone, Ms. Bacala, and Mr. Zaruka went to Trenton, testified in front of the State Board of Education, met with some officials from the Department of Education in regards to the fact that, as I've mentioned before, Brick Township is considered a wealthy district by the School Funding Reform Act. And according to the School Funding Reform Act, Brick Township is receiving in the neighborhood of $25 million in state aid more than we're supposed to be receiving. It's called adjustment aid. Just today, Senator Sweeney's office released an announcement that he has sponsored a bill, S2, which he's pushing for the Assembly to push a mirror bill. And that bill would eliminate adjustment aid to districts that receive such over a 7-year period beginning in the 18-19 school year. 5% would be taken out of our 18-19 allocation that we've already planned on. Sorry, I pulled up the details of the bill here. So 5% would come out in the first year, 8% in the second year, 10%, 14%, 18%, 21%, and then 24%. Effectively, over a 7-year period, this district is, under this bill, slated to lose $25 million in state aid. Now, again, the basis of that is that the local taxpayers are not paying their local fair share. I know none of the local taxpayers want to hear that, which is why we're trying to make the argument to Trenton and through this resolution that we're adopting tonight that the School Funding Reform Act needs to be reviewed and examined closely because there are many flaws contained within it. The fact that Brick Township is considered one of the wealthiest districts in the state of New Jersey. We invited the State Board of Education to come here and view our township and then explain to us how that is deemed appropriate, that we're one of the wealthiest districts in the entire state. But the School Funding Reform Act says that we're not only able to fund our local fair share, we're actually able to fund 110% of our local fair share based upon the district's property wealth and district income that's reported on the state tax returns from 2015. So S2 is a scary bill in that it could eliminate a lot of state aid out of Brick Township. As you already know, I know the board knows this, hopefully the public knows this as well, we're one of the lowest spending school districts, K-12, in the entire state. Without $25 million in state aid, I really don't know how we continue to provide a thorough and efficient education. Mr. Philippone has stated that before. Mr. Dalton sitting in the audience there, it's going to be a daunting task if this bill gets passed. It's going to be really troublesome.
So we go from losing about 1.5 next year to 3 million the following year, and it just keeps almost doubling.
In the current year, 18-19, it'd be $1,274,000. And then it would just, keep
kind of
compounding.
keeps almost doubling through
now,
7 years.
You know, not that not that I would look for this relief because it just shifts the burden on the taxpayers, which I don't think is correct either.
Right.
But the bill does contain a relief mechanism for the what are now known as SDA districts. They were the former Abbott districts. And what the bill says is that any of those districts that are going to lose adjustment aid, which Jersey City is one of those districts, they would be able to raise the amount of state aid loss over and above 2%. So they're getting basically cap levy relief. But it's only for those SDA districts, formerly Abbott districts, no other districts. So any other district in the state that receives adjustment aid would still be kept to its 2% cap. You know, if you look at the numbers, they're staggering because in some of those years where the state aid we'd be losing would be more than our 2% cap. So we'd be taking a low spending K-12 school district and saying we have to spend less with aging facilities and infrastructure and all the other issues that we're dealing with currently. It's just, to me, it's obscure. It's really, it's not, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You heard my testimony at the State Board of Education, which, you know, how do you take a district that is as low spending as we currently are and say you have to spend less? Doesn't make sense. Anyway, on the same topic with 18-19, we discussed the cafeteria budget for the 2018-19 school year. Cafeteria manager is proposing a nickel increase on breakfast and utilization of surplus to upgrade equipment. The committee recommended that budget be put forth tonight for approval. The BEST program is not recommending any price increases for the 18-19 school year and is also, once again, projecting a pretty healthy revenue rent projection to the Board of Education for the use of facilities. We discussed the competitive contracting for wellness clinic services. That is out right now, advertised. We are already getting a lot of interest. I think Mary has sent out, at this point, close to 10 bid packages to interested vendors. I went today to a wellness forum. A lot of exciting stuff surrounding wellness and how, not being a millennial, trying to learn how millennials who we are hiring look at their health benefit packages and what they're interested in versus what people of my age or even older might have been interested in. So the wellness clinic, I think, is putting us in the right direction. We talked about the facility user fee schedule for 18-19. We are requesting some increases in certain areas so that we can make sure that we're covering our costs for outside groups that use our facilities. That's on this evening for approval. I informed the committee that on May 18th, Insight, which is our substitute teacher and substitute paraprofessional provider, Insight provided a $10 traveler bonus at no cost to the Board of Education to try to encourage people to take jobs here in Brick Schools on that day. For whatever reason, May 18th was a big day that we had a lot of absenteeism. So that was very nice of Insight to offer that at no cost to the Board of Education. We discussed a couple of collection matters that, believe it or not, are still hung up in the courts since 1999. Talk about the wheels of justice moving very slowly. We've got a few judgments that the folks that we received the judgments on, Ben, I think you were actually the attorney on those two judgments, weren't you? 1999? We had two judgments. The individuals didn't pay. We've been after them in collections ever since. And it just goes slowly and slowly. So we're going to continue pursuing those amounts, so everyone understands the magnitude that we're trying to collect. One individual owes $6,500, the other individual owes $4,700, and it dealt with a playground fire from 1999. Does that ring a bell, Mr. Montenegro? Not exactly. Okay. Talk to the committee about the RFPs and RFQs that we currently have out and are still working on. We're currently out to RFP for financial advisor and bond counsel. We're out to RFQ for legal services, and hopefully tomorrow, if not Monday, we will be out to RFP for school physician for the next triannual period for those RFPs. Tomorrow, Mary says. I just got the word, tomorrow.
Boss says tomorrow.
We received $21,711.83. Don't ask me about the cents. I don't determine that. From New Jersey School Insurance Group for a safety grant for 2018. After discussion with Mr. Filippone and the committee, we're going to use that money to purchase school bus cameras for safety purposes. That's on this evening's agenda as well. I was very happy to report to the committee this next one, which is our accounts payable solution provider. We took a step years ago, which was what I thought a very positive step for boards of education, in paying our bills electronically and by paying electronically, receiving a discount back from vendors of anywhere from 1.5% to 2% for that payment. We were reported, I don't know who, anonymously reported to the Division of Consumer Affairs that we were doing such, and we were told we could no longer do it because Board of Education didn't have the ability to make payments electronically. Neither did municipalities, for that matter, or counties. So, where the laws were equal, they were equal. So we stopped doing it. Recently, through a lot of, I'll say, poking and prodding that I've been doing over the years to try to get this reversed, the local finance board has determined that school boards, municipalities, and counties, effective March of 2018, can now pay bills electronically for the first time ever in New Jersey's history. If you're not familiar with electronic payment of bills, you must live in the Stone Age, because we all do it, right? We all pay our bills electronically, but for school purposes, we've still been manually issuing checks for years. We now will not have to do that going forward. However, there is a process that, of course, that the local finance board has put in place for us that we have to follow to select a vendor who is going to help us pay our bills electronically, most likely our bank. I know, sounds crazy. And so the committee approved us moving forward with requests for a competitive contract to DCA, and we got the competitive contract approval rather quickly because we sent the letter in and got it back within a week. And so that's on this evening's agenda for you to approve the utilization of a competitive contracting process where we'll solicit vendors who want to help us pay our bills electronically. Like I said, probably a bank, because I don't know of anybody else that does it. And we'll then have that hopefully on the board agenda either in late June or early July for approval, that we can start taking advantage of those rebates by payment of electronic bills. We discussed the equipment lease that was approved by the board via the budget process for 18-19. This purchased 5 school buses and the 1 van for special needs and 2 pieces of equipment for grounds. That $650,000 lease purchase is on this evening's agenda for approval. And then we discussed a special education case that has been in the courts for a while. It was a case that we originally had won. The parents appealed it. It's now at a federal level, and it has heated up and is requiring additional time of our special education council. So that additional time is on this evening's agenda for approval. And that was the extent of our rich and full meeting.
Great, thank you. Ms. McNamara, curriculum, no, I know, the next one. Curriculum instruction. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you have to talk again?
No, I'm going to be very, very brief.
Sorry about that.
That our special ed committee met May 16th, and we really talked extensively about extended school year. And I just want to message that out, that we had a choice to go 20 days of extended school year, or provide a very, very a great program with a lot of activities, including STEM activities, technology, art, and music in the extended school year program. If we were going to go 20 days, we'd have to cut those things out. So the committee and the professionals decided that we would reduce the number of days to 16. So the extended school year program now will run from July 9th to August 2nd, but we are keeping the integrity of the program. And we thought that that was more important. So from a special ed point of view, we're still looking at numbers and classes and moving staff around so that we can meet the needs of all of our special ed students. As far as the superintendent's report, I will be very brief. A long time ago, somebody who I respect very much, when I asked him the question, what is it that you do? And he was at that time a deputy superintendent here in Brick. What do you do when you are faced with tough decisions? And he said to me, you ask yourself one question: is it in the best interest of students? And if you can answer affirmatively, go after it and do it. Listening to the Teacher of the Year tonight reaffirmed that thought, that is our business. Yes, we have a responsibility to taxpayers. Yes, we have a responsibility to be fiscally responsible for our community and all of those things, and we endeavor to do that. But when you boil it all down, the core issue is, Are you doing things in the best interest of students? And finally, I'd like to thank a couple of folks, Mrs. Crate again, because you never miss, and we respect you being here. Mr. Dalton, for the professionalism that you've exhibited in the transition, and how much we look forward to your arrival, especially me. And to the folks from the press, if I don't at next month's meeting get a chance, because I do forget, the fairness and the honesty with which you've treated the district and me as an individual over the last year has been remarkable. So I thank you for that as well. And last, finally, we have a board member that, and I know we've had board members in the past and we've recognized them for doing it, that took a great deal of time out of her busy schedule to attend the New Jersey School Board certification class, and she showed me her certificate of passing, so we want to congratulate Mrs. Pacala for passing that course. Thank you very much. And Mr. Conti, I see you here again. I attended 2 awards assemblies, and Mr. Conti, representing the chamber, gave out conservatively $20,000 in scholarships to our high school students, and we are very appreciative of your efforts, Mike. Thank you. Okay, now you go.
I'm so sorry. Ms. McNamara.
Thank you, Mrs. Walrab. Under Curriculum and Instruction, the acting superintendent recommends the board approve the following items 1 through 4.
Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion. Second.
Board discussion?
One thing.
Okay.
Number 4, we're going to ratify the grant application submission for funds for Warren H. Wolf Elementary School Literacy Program. That's $4,000. I just want to say, way to go to Mrs. Nicole Segro, because every dollar counts, and it's these $4,000 grants that really impact the students. Even though they're small, they really impact what happens in the classroom. So thank you for that effort.
Any other board comments? Public comment? Seeing none, Mary?
Yes.
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 Yes. Mr. Edwards, operations?
Yes, thank you. The acting superintendent would like to recommend items 1 through 29. Mary's whispering to me. 29, correct? 1 through 29, and 31 through 50.
Okay. I need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Any board discussion?
I'd like to make a motion to add item number 50 to the operations agenda.
Ashley?
Oh, 51?
Sorry, go ahead. So would that would be 51, correct?
Okay, 51. I counted wrong. Oh, the motion is to deny submitted claims for indemnification of private counsel fees of petitioners subpoenaed to testify by the Ocean County Prosecutor's Office as fact witnesses in pending criminal litigation.
I need a motion, correct?
I made the motion.
Oh, I need a second then? I'm sorry.
Second.
Okay. Board discussion?
I just have a couple things.
Sure, good.
I'd like to point out on...
Before you move on, I think we need a roll call on...
Do we need roll? I apologize.
Need the vote, just on the motion.
Just on the...
Just on
the add.
adding 51, yes.
Sorry about that. Mary?
Yes.
Clayton?
Yes.
Gagliardi?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, now...
Now you'd be voting on 1 through 29 and 51.
Right, and now we have discussion on that
Now you
first.
can have discussion,
Right,
yes. Thank you.
Sorry, thank you, Mr. Edwards.
I just wanted to point out that on number 8 in the operations agenda, the amount of money we're discussing to ratify those out-of-district student placements as attached is $522,983,000. We don't always, put those numbers out there. I mean, they're on the agenda. I mean, anybody could add them up, but it's just such a huge part of our expenditures as a district.
Other board comment? Public comment?
I just had one other
I'm
thing.
I'm sorry.
I just had one other thing. Under the resolution for the insurance broker for workers' compensation insurance, and a couple of the others, the legal counsel for negotiation services, and legal counsel for special ed matters. I noticed that on the contracts, the professionals are charging us consistent fees with no increases over the school years from 2017 to 2020. And I think that's a great job that we did for the district of getting those contract rates. And thanks for that.
Thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. The time for public comment?
Yes,
Okay.
sorry.
Karen
about that.
Cusinelli, Duchess Lane. I wanted to comment on the item that was added. I believe you said it was number 51.
Yes.
Which referred to the reimbursement of, I know I was one of the claims that I submitted my $500 legal bill, which was a direct result of my voluntary service as a board member. When I was subpoenaed at my home about a day and a half before a holiday to speak with the prosecutor's office and the grand jury, again, directly as a result of my service as a board member. And I did hire an attorney to consult before that, and I was charged $500. I was a board member. I felt I should be indemnified, but I see that you're placing a vote on to deny that coverage. And I just was curious as to whether or not any employees of the district were also asked to either speak with the prosecutor's office or testify with the grand jury.
I know the answer to that, but I'm not sure what we're allowed to say, so I'm going to consult our attorney.
I can say that
I'm sorry, sir. Could you bring that microphone closer? I can't hear you from here.
Sure.
Thank you. I know, and I can't see with the balloon. I'm like,
what I can say is no employees, if they were subpoenaed, presented them to the district, nor did they present any bills for indemnification or claims for indemnification. So I can't answer as to who or how many received subpoenas or interview requests, but there were no petitions or submissions for indemnification.
Were any of those employees provided with legal counsel prior to speaking to the prosecutor's office or the grand jury?
I can't answer that question off the top of my head. I don't know.
Not to the best of your knowledge, though.
So you're saying no, they did not? Your firm didn't consult with anybody beforehand in district or anything?
I'm saying I don't recall that. I don't know the answer to your question.
So as the board counsel, if an employee were subpoenaed to the grand jury in a matter related to the school district, would you, as the board attorney, speak to them? Would you advise them to speak to you, or would you just advise them to go in cold?
It would depend on the situation. If they were presented to me through administration, I would deal with whatever question came our way.
Okay, so in other words, if an employee went without any legal counsel and perhaps spoke of things inadvertently that jeopardized the school district or led to other things that maybe then would incur more legal fees, you don't necessarily have a problem with that? You're thinking that if you get subpoenaed, you go and you don't worry about it?
I wouldn't say that the way you just said it, but as you know, an attorney cannot attend the grand jury proceeding with a witness or participate directly.
No, but an attorney can be present during discussion with the prosecutor's office.
That's a different question than what you just asked.
Okay,
You-
well,
you
were
talked
any-
about a grand jury subpoena.
Okay, were any employees asked to speak with the prosecutor's office?
Don't know. I don't know, and I don't recall that specific scenario.
I don't understand how you could not know. Shouldn't you be familiar with this case if you are our board counsel?
I'm fully familiar with the case. You're asking whether or not and how many employees.
I didn't ask how many, I asked did any. Did any employee get asked to speak with the prosecutor's office?
They did.
And prior to them going, did they receive any legal guidance?
Don't recall that. I know I was present when there were discussions that took place. Whether or not there were legal guidance or there were questions of a legal nature, I can't answer that.
And aren't you an attorney?
I-
Okay, so you're an attorney, you're the board attorney, and if a school employee was asked to speak with the prosecutor's office and sat in a room and discussed speaking with the prosecutor's office in a room with you sitting there, I would kind of consider that to be having some legal guidance, wouldn't you?
Depends on the nature of the discussions, so I can't answer that question beyond that.
Well, I don't think you'd be exchanging recipes in an environment like that. You know, I would think that, why would you be there? Did you just happen to be there?
It's not
Oh.
there on behalf of the district.
Were you there at no cost to the district?
Not.
So you charged the district for your presence.
And I represented the district at all times.
Okay, so an employee did not have to incur any personal legal bills because they were of the nature of being an employee, they would be indemnified, and you or representatives of your firm were present and spoke to them prior to them speaking to the prosecutor's office. However, I, as a volunteer board member, so I wasn't even earning any money from the district with which to pay my fee, which I might add was only $500. So I don't understand how that's justified. I don't understand how a volunteer board member is not provided legal counsel and must incur it at his or her own expense, yet an employee who's asked to speak with the prosecutor's office is given the courtesy of legal counsel, which personally I believe legal counsel is the prudent thing to do in a situation like that.
You're entitled to your opinion.
So what you're saying is a board member did not get it.
You don't need to put words in my mouth. If I was requested to be present for something on behalf of the district, I was there and I represented the district's interest.
Okay, so.
Your situation was your situation.
Okay, I just want to be clear that I understood that employees who were asked to speak with the prosecutor's office were given the benefit of having legal presence prior to speaking with the prosecutor's office.
Counsel on behalf of the district was there representing the district, and it's.
Okay, but I, as a board member, did not receive that courtesy.
I don't know that it's the same situation, but.
Well, I don't know how it's different, and I don't.
I won't argue with you, but I don't know that it's.
I just want to be very clear before I move forward after this vote, because I have some decisions to make, and I want to make sure everybody is clear. And I just also would like to remind the other board members who are the current board members sitting here that, you know, you're there as a volunteer, and it would be very unfortunate if you had to personally incur legal expenses for something in your capacity as a school board member. And maybe if you did things like had inaccurate financial disclosures and things like that that really are not really part of your board member service. And, you know, there's a lot of things that go along with this, and I take it very seriously. I always have, and I take it seriously now as a private citizen. And I would just request that this board think long and hard, and I think the right thing to do is to provide me reimbursement with that $500 legal bill. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other public? Go ahead, Mr. Fennell.
Vic Finelli, Meadow Point Drive, in keeping with my promise to look for good things. You're going to skip through this section rather quickly because I know it's going to be a long meeting. I got an unsigned email today that you better be quick, I want to go home early. Dennis, did you send that?
I never would send that to you, Mr.
It came from the administrative offices, I don't know.
Not me.
No, okay. I know I talked about this last year, but I think it's worthy of talking about it again. Number 20, the best program, $365,000 profit for that organization doing that. They provide a service. They keep people employed and making money, and they do it in a profitable way. And I'm told, but I don't know since I don't have children, that their prices are pretty reasonable.
Very reasonable.
So hats off to them.
Thank you.
And number 21, the food service organization. I know it's always a struggle. I know they had a small profit. I know they're going to spend some money on repairs and whatnot, which probably put them in the negative if I read that right. But congratulations to that group also. And number 41, the information that had to do with the track. I know I've had a lot of discussion about that. I know I've also asked for things to be put on the agenda so we can understand them. And when I read the first part, I had a lot of questions, and when I read the addendum to it, I didn't have any questions. So it appears that we're going to get the track replaced.
Yes.
No cost to the school. It's going to be done by the time it opens up. So I guess attaboys to everybody that was involved in getting that resolved. And I didn't have any bad ones until 5 minutes ago. Right? We're really talking about $500. Now, I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know how many other people have put in requests for legal counsel. I don't know if we've ever had this problem before in a district where this has come up, where people make a decision to get an attorney to go with them or not. Obviously, after this, we ought to have some rules in place to make that happen. If we didn't have them in place, fine. $500 for somebody that volunteered for several years on the school board and did a hell of a job. You all know that. She's probably the one person that knew more about what was going on than I did. You really ought to think about that. And you really ought to think about, I don't know if it's going to go any further. I haven't discussed this with anybody else. Do you really want to continue or put this to bed for $500? Thank you.
Any other public comment? Mary?
No to number 28 and yes to everything else.
Yes to all.
Yes.
I'm going to say no to 31 and yes to the rest.
Yes, to all. Mr. Philippone, Human Resources.
Yes, Ms. Walrab, the acting superintendent recommends that the board approve the following items 1 through 37.
I need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Any board discussion? Public discussion?
Hi, good evening. Kelly Tobin, 18th Avenue. I wanted to take this opportunity both as a parent and as one of the leaders of the Brick Township Parents of Different Learners group to comment tonight in regards to Mrs. Dalrymple's resignation. I want to thank her for her service to this district as the Director of Special Services. I feel that this is a great loss to the district as she has been such an integral part of the process in implementing many positive changes in this department. I would be remiss if I did not mention that I am incredibly disappointed to see her leave, especially as we are only in the very early stages of the changes that can only benefit our special education students. I know that after the audit was done several years ago, there were many changes that needed to take place in order to better educate our students in the least restrictive environment, and she has worked very hard to help improve this here in Brick. One major change I want to thank her for is opening the door for our special education students to be educated alongside their peers in their least restrictive environments, for providing opportunities that, although were their legal rights, were not always easy to attain here in Brick. Unfortunately, my husband and I know this all too well. Our 9-year-old son with Down syndrome is currently in a general education class in 2nd grade and has been since he first started kindergarten. When we first started here in the district, under previous administration, these opportunities seemed near impossible to provide for him, as we had to fight so hard for many years just to secure his seat in these general education classrooms, despite how hard he worked to prove he had a rightful place there. However, we are so proud to say that he is making such meaningful progress thanks to the truly dedicated staff and his peers at Herbertsville Elementary, who have worked so hard to ensure his success and create such an inclusive school community. We believe without a doubt that Colin's successes are due in major part because he has been educated in his least restrictive environment in a general education class at Herbertsville Elementary. To the board, I believe you have a very important job ahead, as it is essential that you find a new director that will continue the work of Mrs. Dalrymple, someone who will work very diligently to provide opportunities for our special education students to learn in their least restrictive environments. Just as the same with any general education student, there is not one room or one type of classroom that fits our students with special needs. We must always presume competence and raise the bar for our students as well. As you all know, we have such an important job to raise our children to not only be the best they can be academically, but also to be kind, accepting, and inclusive human beings. This can only be done when you have a director who also believes in an inclusive philosophy for all students and works hard to ensure that philosophy is fulfilled. We have been so incredibly thankful to see at Herbertsville the benefits not only to Colin, but also his peers because of their placement in the classroom together, learning alongside one another. We are truly proud of our Herbertsville school community for embracing Colin and for truly being a model of what inclusion looks like. And I want to thank Mrs. Dalrymple for her service. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Tobin.
I understand how much work went into doing the budget this year and all of the things you had to do. And relax, I'm not going to talk about the budget, okay? And I understand pretty much everything Mr. Edwards said and what you're trying to do to get more money and what your odds are of getting more money. Well, maybe we'll pass the marijuana laws, maybe we'll legalize sports betting, and maybe some of those other things will come true, and you might get more money, but I really don't know where it's going to come from. Yeah. So what I want to share with you is just some numbers. You might be aware of them, you might not. But it's what I think you should be looking at every time you make major decisions on spending money like you're doing tonight. Number 13 and 14. How many administrators are we approving tonight?
35.
You get the first attaboy. Remember that number. How many teachers are we approving tonight?
Somewhere in the 900 range.
I just took your attaboy away. 862.
That's pretty close to 900 range.
Okay. Right. And if you look at the number of students, again, I'm giving you numbers. I'm not saying they mean this or they mean that. I just want you to understand what those numbers are. All right? with the amount of teachers you have and the amount of students that you have right now, that comes out to a 10.1 students per teacher. Now, what does that number mean? It means whatever you want it to mean. I'm not going to tell you what it means. It's just a number. For every 10.1 students, you have a teacher, right? That's what's in the school district. That's what you're voting on tonight. The 35 administrators that you approved tonight, how much is that going to cost you? No fair, trying to call it up now. Look at me.
Ready? 4.6 million.
Half right. Add the 40% for benefits.
Okay.
Okay? That bill, because I want you to remember that. Every time you do a personnel decision, they add 40% for benefits. So that comes out to $6.463 million. That's what you're voting on in that one category.
You are assuming that every administrator has benefits, though.
I'm assuming what?
That every administrator takes benefits.
Gets benefits or pays them?
Well, receives them.
Yeah.
Some of them might not receive the benefits.
I would
Like
guess
me,
that
for
the
instance.
percentage might be small, but okay, we can put that fudge factor. All right, what's the cost of the 862 teachers?
63.5 million, plus whatever you're going to tell me with the
You
benefit.
got that number because I don't have it. I didn't add that up. All right,
Somebody would ask
so
tonight.
roughly 63 million. So you just
That's with the teacher aides as well.
okay. So you just approved $75 million tonight. That's what you approved with your vote, all right? Big bucks, biggest bucks you're going to approve for the next 12 months. Now, I did some research and went back and looked at the numbers. And I brought this up before, and I'm not looking for a lot of excuses. I'm just looking to let you know what was and what is. Back in 2010, you had 895 teachers in the school district. That's right off the performance appraisal information that Mr. Herchenko put out. I didn't make up that number, all right? So you went down 33 teachers since 2009-10 to what you approved today. 33 teachers. You had 10,264 students back then. You went down 1,539 students in that period of time, all right? You also had 32 administrators. So in that amount of time, you went up 3 administrators and down 33 teachers. Or 1 teacher for every 47 students that you lost. 1 teacher for every 47 students that you lost. Your ratio was 10 to 1, but you only lost 1 teacher for every 47 students. It doesn't take a mental giant to figure out where the big bucks are and what the problem is. Now, Mr. Edwards is going to do the fight, you're all going to do the fight, but what I heard tonight is 7 years of reduced budget, and you're not going to be able to take that all from the taxpayers, trust me. You're not going to get it all from the taxpayers. And enough of us are going to leave anyway, and the ones that stay are going to have senior freezes on their taxes, so they're not going to care, right? Your problem grows because pay raises come into play on top of that. So what you have to pay today is not what you have to pay tomorrow. You have to pay more. Think about that over the next 7 years. And if any of you are here in 7 years, it's going to be a big problem. Right? Now, I know you all didn't cause this problem, but if you don't think it's a problem, when you only lost 33 teachers for 1,500 students at a 46-to-1 ratio when you actually have 10-to-1, or during that same period of time, and I've heard stories of, well, we were down administrators back in 2009 to 2010, but you went down 1,500 students and added 3 of those positions, right? And they're big buck positions. So you got some tough decisions to do, tough decisions to make.
Yes.
I understand what Dennis said. You got a concern for the students, you got a concern for the taxpayers. I also got the feeling your concern for the students was a little more than it was for the taxpayers.
It is.
All right?
You're right.
But you know, you've heard my presentation. You heard about Social Security. I wish I could buy my food in the school cafeteria, really. I wish I could get a full lunch for $3.90. I really wish I could do that, all right? You're going to have to make tough decisions. But my point today is, Every time you're doing this, every time you're voting on this, every time somebody leaves and you have the urge to replace them, you got to look at it and say, how much is this going to cost us and what's going to happen in the future? Maybe you'll have an answer by the end of July, but you only have an answer for this year. You don't know what's going to happen next year. You really don't. No. I had another question which I forgot to ask before. If I could ask it now, because I was on the wrong category. 47 and 48 on the category before. It's drugs and it's medical benefits. Could somebody tell me what those numbers represent? Speak loudly, James.
Sorry, the question 47 to 48, is that what
Yeah,
you
on the one
Okay, I
before.
missed the numbers, that's all.
Renewal rates.
Yeah.
Oh, the renewals, so those are the.
I can't hear you. Speak into the microphone.
Sure, those are the the monthly premiums that are paid for each one of those plans.
The premium that you pay, that the school district pays for those benefits?
Not necessarily. So for 46 dental, yes, because we're prospectively insured for dental, so we pay a premium.
Is that a month or a year?
Those are monthly rates.
Those are monthly rates?
Yes, correct. But for medical and prescription, we're self-insured, so those aren't really monthly payments that we're making, but yet the actuary has to arrive at rates, monthly rates, so that the employees can then pay a contribution to the Board of Education for their benefits.
Okay.
So those rates are the rates that the actuary has determined what we would need to pay prospectively if we were prospectively insured.
Okay, so
And those rates are then used for the employees to pay their contributions to the board.
That's not what the employees pay, though.
No, that is not. That is the rate that would hypothetically be paid by the board if we were prospectively insured.
Okay, what part do they pay? What percentage do they pay?
It's a sliding scale. You'd have to go to Chapter 78. If you Google Chapter 78, you'll see there's a scale. Depends on whether you take single coverage, family coverage, or husband-wife coverage. And then the more money you make, the higher the percentages that you contribute.
Okay. And PC is parent and child? Is that a good guess on my part?
What's that?
PC.
Parent-child.
Parent-child. Right.
Okay. Because if you remember the last meeting, there was comments at the end of the meeting, but I'm not going to address him because he's not here, where I became a teacher so I could get free benefits for life. I hope he got that in writing, although he said he got it from his father. Those things change, and they're going to continue to change. And every time you make a decision and you negotiate a contract, you got to remember what you're facing and what you're going to have to come up with. Good meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Mary?
Yes.
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 Yes. Mr. Philippon?
Thank you, Ms. Walrab. The acting superintendent recommends that the board approve the following items, 1 and 2.
I need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Any board discussion? Public comment? None. Mary?
Yes.
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 Yes. Public comment? Oh, I'm sorry. Mrs. Cusinelli, do you mind if I let him go first since he hasn't spoken yet? Are you okay with that? Okay. Sorry, I didn't see you earlier. No, it's good.
Mike Conti from the Brick Chamber of Commerce. I just wanted to say real briefly just a couple quick thanks and just let everybody know that on Thursday, May 24th, we celebrated our scholarship award winners at Crystal Point Yacht Club. Our foundation had the honor this year of presenting 22 winners with oversized checks that totaled $32,500. Over the life of the foundation, it's been responsible for over $360,000 in scholarships, and we are able to do this in a couple different ways. Number one is our Dream Dollar 50/50 raffle that is $100 tickets, 250 of which we give out, so the winner gets $12,500. The other $12,500 goes to the Education Foundation to fund subsequent scholarships. If you guys are interested in any of those tickets, I know people that sell them. One is actually sitting back there. One is standing in front of you right now, but they will be available this summer. The other thing is dedicated scholarships from chamber members over the past number of years. I'd like to point out Dr. Christopher Emma at Encore Dental gives a $5,000 scholarship in honor of his father on an annual basis. The winner we presented last night here at Brick Township High School, which was very nice, and you can still see some of the great work that the administration and guidance staff did to get their Walk of Fame all set up. And then events throughout the year in which a portion of our proceeds go towards funding the Educational Foundation and its mission to donate scholarships to both graduating seniors and those continuing their education. I also wanted to make special thank you to Mrs. Stansberry from Brick Memorial High School, who's an English teacher who was there with her students who are receiving awards at Crystal Point. I also want to thank Mr. Hersenko for coming, and also Mr. Dalton as well, who took time out of his evening to come over to Crystal Point to honor our students. So thank you very much for your attendance there, for that wonderful evening. And then last but not least, I want to thank the staffs at both high schools the past 2 evenings for all of their hard work in getting everything together, and specifically Dr. Caldez and Mr. Kleiser for their kind words to not only myself, but also the Brick Chamber of Commerce. So, so I'll leave you with that, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Sorry,
Yeah, Karen Cusinelli, 113 Duchess Lane. I was just wondering, through the chair, if I could ask the reason behind the decision to not indemnify myself, and possibly, I don't know if there were any other ones that were discussed, but.
And let me just be clear that there were other ones, and there was a reference that it was just $500, and clearly yours was, and you've identified that as $500. Just to be clear, there were other ones I won't identify individually. However, the total sum of the requests was close to just under $7,000. One individual claim being close to $5,000, one being $1,500 as an initial retainer and to be billed hourly, so I couldn't even tell you what the final bill is or would have been on that one. So just to be clear, it isn't a $500 issue.
So at the next meeting, could someone make a motion then to reimburse all the people who were former board members who asked for reimbursement up to a certain amount of money?
It's discretionary, and we've talked about this before. The core answer to your question and to this request is that there is no legal obligation under the New Jersey laws and the indemnification laws to pay for the fees that were submitted, yours included. Any expenditure would have to be discretionary spending on behalf of the board. So it was brought to a vote tonight that could be addressed at a later time, but that's the answer to that.
So the 5 members of the board who are up here tonight all felt that it was not appropriate for former board members to be reimbursed for their legal bills that they personally incurred out of direct response to their service as board members.
It was felt that in doing some research in other districts where things like this have happened, if how they handled it, we spoke to school boards and asked for a recommendation on how they would suggest we take this under consideration. and it was determined that no other school district has reimbursed any other board members for these types of services. It was also determined that in the cases of those that did submit, that only one actually contacted to find out whether or not there was a policy on this and whether or not it was reimbursable. There was also thought about how this sets a precedence as far as if we reimburse, will other people who have not submitted bills come out and ask for reimbursement? So in an area that we haven't been able to speak to anybody that has a policy or anything in place that could give us some guidance, it was just felt at this point, and we had addressed this at one point that we were going to put it off, and then you requested again for us to bring it up, that we would just make a determination that at this point we didn't think that we as a board could move forward with the reimbursements being in the situation with the information that was gathered at this time.
And what other districts had a like situation where board members were asked to go to prosecutors and grand juries and were told to go without legal counsel? What districts?
I don't know that they were told to go without legal counsel. I'm talking about whether or not the board is reimbursed for that legal counsel, or it was.
Okay, what other districts had that situation?
I know they looked and checked into Tom's River and Wall, who
Tom's River and Wall?
who unfortunately had similar situations that they went through, and there were neither submissions nor payments made similar to what you're submitting.
And it's interesting because when I spoke with New Jersey School Boards Association a year ago, they felt it was that it was like without question that it would be indemnified. I also want to make sure that
who did you speak to, because that's not what we got.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we probably spoke with two different people and got two different
Two different
answers.
opinions.
And, we do have policy 3530 also. And, you may also want to refer to in 18A 12-20 and 16-6.1. But I also would just like to make sure that I did send a narrative to each board member about a month and a half ago and explained in detail the situation that I was in. And I would like to just ask, did everybody up here receive that and read that?
Yes.
Okay, you all did. Okay, so you all know, in case you're ever in that situation, you know what the situation was, so you know to expect that.
I have personal knowledge that when Wall board members were subpoenaed by the Monmouth County prosecutor's office, that none of them sought outside legal counsel, and they all appeared for the grand jury. And the president at the time said that no one had requested counsel and no one submitted any bills at the time, and they had no problem with that.
I'm sorry, no problem with what?
With the fact that their board members did not seek outside legal counsel and did not therefore have to seek reimbursement from the board.
Okay.
And I just wanted the reference you made to 18A 12-20, as was in my letter a year and a half ago. That's the law that I'm speaking of when I'm speaking of that there's no legal obligation under the New Jersey law.
So there's no obligation, but it was a personal choice of the 5 board members tonight, correct? You were not legally obligated, but your moral compass directed you to deny those reimbursements.
I wasn't finished speaking. That was the law I was speaking of that talks about indemnification to board members, and it sets forth the situations where indemnification would be required.
Required, yes.
This not being one of those situations.
No, this was a discretionary decision made by the 5 board members sitting here tonight. That's what I was trying to clarify.
Right.
So they could have voted to reimburse the former board members, yet their moral compass indicated otherwise. So I just wanted to, make sure.
Well,
So
right,
moving on
those
to,
are-
I had a
those are
question,
all-
I'm
When
sorry?
it comes to discretionary spending, as we were talking about, not related to this, those are, and I think it was Mr. Finelli that was speaking about it, those are the decisions that have to be made when spending taxpayer funds for things that
Well,
aren't.
you know what, and maybe the policy committee may want to consider putting a policy in place for these situations, since you're talking about other towns in the state that are in this situation. You may want to put a policy in place that clearly states that any employee or board member who is asked to speak with the prosecutor's office or the grand jury does so at his or her own expense. Now, I don't know what kind of how the employees would feel about that, because I personally feel that both volunteer board members and employees should be indemnified in a case like that. But you may want to spell that out in policy, because I'm sure you would be successful in discouraging normal members of the public for running for office, because clearly that's, not very friendly to the taxpayers and the volunteers. But moving on, I had a question regarding the detailed budget. You had extensively campaigned about an operational audit, and I know over the past 2.5 years, there's been a lot of discussion at meetings about it. I just want to be clear, when I went through the detailed budget on page 188, it appears as if you had originally tried to put in an operational audit, but then decided against it, but I wanted to make sure. So you are not, once again, this year budgeting for an operational audit?
We were trying to get it in the budget this year. Then we got wind that there could be a significant amount of money through the state that we were going to be losing. So that just...
So we're not having, again, this year, an operational budget?
At this point.
An operational audit, okay. Another question I had was, I was on the website, and...
Right, but that's not what she's talking about. So, yes, we internally audit, but that's not what she's talking about.
With regards to, I was on the website, and I just want to be clear, I know you're in negotiations with the teachers right now, since the contract runs out the end of this year, correct?
Yes, correct.
And is the negotiations team, yourself, Ms. Walrab, Mr. Lamella, and Ms. Pacala? I'm just curious, isn't Mr. Lamella a public school administrator in Jackson?
Yes.
Isn't his son also a teacher in Jackson?
No.
Is his son a public school teacher in a
Yes.
neighboring district? Okay.
In,
And
I'm not sure, Point, yeah, in Point.
and isn't Ms. Pacala a teacher in Freehold Regional High School District?
She's a substitute.
A substitute what?
Teacher.
Substitute teacher,
I don't
okay.
have a contract.
And is that,
An NJEA member.
okay, but you are employed by the Freehold Regional High School District as a substitute teacher? Okay. Is there any conflict of interest with those two parties negotiating with teachers' contract?
I'll take a look at it, but not offhand that I would say no. But we'd have to defer that to Labor Council, who's involved with the.
Yeah, you may want to check on that, because I think there could be an issue there. And do board members receive legal counsel if there are ethics charges filed against them?
Yes, that would fall within the statute.
And do those get made through an insurance claim? Do those get reimbursed?
It depends on the policy. I've seen some districts that do have policies that cover that. I can't say off the top of my head whether Brick's policy does.
So, for example, I know we had about, I think, 12 appeals. We had a former board president, Mr. Waska, that he was found guilty. I believe he appealed it 11 or 12 times, but was found in the wrong on an ethics charge every time. Was that something that the district paid for, his legal counsel, or was that done through an insurance policy?
That was through an insurance policy, now that you're raising that.
Okay, because I believe it was your firm that represented him, correct?
I believe we did.
Yes, so that was covered through insurance.
I would have to check, but I believe it was.
Could you follow up with me and maybe let me know if that was covered through insurance, and if not, what the cost to the district was on that?
Absolutely do that.
Great,
I'll
okay.
have that for the next meeting. I'm almost
Thank you very
positive it
much.
was.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Seeing none. Mary? Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, it's board comment. My head's just, I think I'm tired. Any board comments? You want to start? Good. Yeah, Jessica?
So I just wanted to say that I really enjoyed listening to the...
Can you speak into the microphone because there's
Yeah,
the noise
sorry.
behind?
I really enjoyed listening to the principals describe the different teachers and support staff, what they are like in the classroom, and I was particularly impressed by how the students described them. It really gives me insight into what happens every day in the school because I don't necessarily know exactly what's happening in every classroom. I really have any idea, and the details made me feel much closer to the schools and to the teachers in our district. And I just wanted to say congratulations to all of them.
Thank you, Jessica.
All right, good evening, everybody. I would like to welcome all of our new hires and say thank you to all of our retirees. And again, congratulations to all of our Teachers of the Year. My daughter is very fortunate and has Miss Talarita, who was honored tonight from Midstreams. And both of my kids had Mrs. Day as their kindergarten teacher, which was formerly the PLC, which is now Warren Wolf. So our students are very lucky to have so many wonderful staff members who not only teach them school subjects, but are vested in their lives and their dreams. So I also think if you knew how many sporting events, games, ceremonies, concerts, plays, and other events that go on in this district, you would be absolutely amazed. I know I was shocked when I joined the Board of Education and received invitations and reminders to all of these events. I know I say this a lot, but I really do wish that I could go to more. There's so much to see and do within our district. We should celebrate our students and their successes. But I did get to go to a few things, so I wanted to just briefly talk about those. I was able to go to the Midstreams 5th grade band concert under the direction of Mr. Velchek. Of course, I'm going to tell you that the 56 kids who were playing were absolutely amazing because they've really only had practices 1 to 2 times a week since October. But what is also very impressive is that this is Mr. Velchek's 52nd year of teaching. So, I mean, that's just incredible. And he still has such a passion for it, so it's really fun to watch. Then the very next night, I went to Vets Memorial Middle School and I went to their chorus concert. That program has grown so much under the direction of Mr. Krajic. They now have 58 chorus members and there were 300 people in attendance to watch this. So they performed 12 amazing songs, and their chorus department and their band were invited to Music in the Park Festival, where they received superior performance accolades. And I should also point out that Mr. Seidelman, who is the band director at Vets Middle School, went over to the Midstreams band concert the night before to help out. So many of our teachers and staff attend the school events on their own time because they want to see the kids shine. So, and then the day after that, it was like a very busy week, I was able to go over to the annual Lanes Mill Museum night. I was able to speak to Mr. Lukenbach and Miss Stumpf. He was able to tell me about the history of this event. Apparently, this is their 16th year hosting this night. He said that every student has at least one project on display. This unites their whole school community, and I love seeing the projects. The children are so talented and creative, and I hope that they never lose that passion. I was able to jump over to a half an hour to watch the Midstreams Field Day activities. The PTO organizes that annual event with their physical education teachers and plenty of parent volunteers to make that happen. And the PTO was able to provide them drinks, t-shirts, and ice pops, so of course the kids had a blast. Who wouldn't enjoy that? And then while I can't attend some events, I'm very, very grateful for social media. While there's a lot of downfall with it, there's also a lot of positives to be had. So I've been able to see portions or photos of the other concerts, chorus programs, plays, games, matches, ceremonies, prom pictures, you name it. I saw the band in the Memorial Day Parade the other day. So I'm just very impressed with the attitude and level of maturity displayed by everybody. And as our school year winds down, I hope everybody appreciates all that our staff and administrators do on a daily basis to help our students. Please remember that their work never ends. And finally, just say congratulations to all of our students who are graduating and getting promoted this year. Please go out into the world and make good choices and be careful. Thank you.
Lita? I'll try to be brief. I just want to say, no, it's okay. Tomorrow is the first day of June, and June kind of wraps, the school year up. It's going to be graduation time, and many of the students started off here as little kindergartners getting on the bus. And, soon they'll be promoted and going out into the real world. And with them, it's endless possibilities and hopes and dreams in our students. And it's a feeling that, for someone who loves education and loves students, it warms my heart to see where they have gone and where they've grown, and just being at the promotion ceremony, seeing in our students the possibilities that they have, it means a lot. And our teachers and our support staff that dedicate their love, their passion, their energy into our students, I am forever grateful for what they do and the love that they share for our students. So thank you, teachers. And this month I was busy, but not, Brick busy, but I did get an opportunity to go yesterday to the talent show at Brick Memorial High School. So I brought my kids there, was able to see kids sing and dance and perform and just showcase some of their talents in front of their peers and people from the community. So it was great. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
I just want to say how impressed I am by all the outstanding support staff and teachers that we have that dedicate themselves every day anew to providing the best education and social and emotional experience for our students. And I appreciate the leadership that our administrators give to these teachers, and all the personal initiatives these teachers take to make experience so good for our school students. I also would like to commend our president, Stephanie Woolrab, and our acting superintendent, Mr. Philippone, for being so proactive. I was very impressed with the resolution, Operation Number 42, to request revisions to the school funding formula. I think because we have a fiduciary relationship to spend every dime that we raise on the education of our students, that it's just so important to be proactive and to stir up the interest and the attention of our citizens, our parents, our teachers, in order to try to get the state to be more responsible as we are responsible to our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. June 14th, we have a special meeting at 4:30 at the Brick Professional Development Center. June 19th, Vietnam, Jesus, I am tired. Vets Memorial Middle School Promotion Ceremony, 5 p.m. at Brick Memorial High School. Same day, Lake Riviera Promotion Ceremony, 5 and 7 p.m. at Lake Riviera Middle School. I'm really tired. June 20th, Brick Memorial High School graduation, 5 p.m. Also on June 20th, the Brick Township High School graduation at 5 p.m. at Brick Township High School. June 26th, our regular meeting, 7 p.m. at Vets Memorial Middle School. Can I get a motion and a second to adjourn, please?
I make that motion.
Second.
Mary?
Yes.
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 Yes.